Hello folks, wrong intro. We're not working on PixInsight tonight. Um, but if that's the only issue that we have, good. We're kind of fighting a couple of problems. We've got clouds that are in and about the sky, and we're going to have to shoot through those. Plus, there's a haze, and it's my understanding it's coming from the fires in the far west, and that's crazy. Wow. And got to think about that for a minute. But I understand from the news that the whole world has been affected by this haze. So, oh wow. And I tell you, we really need to hold and lift up that part of the country in prayer. People are losing their homes, and it's awful to find your entire life threatened by fire, and there's just nothing that can be done. I guess it just has to play itself out, and of course there's lots of people fighting it and volunteers coming in from all over the country. But if you're a person who believes in prayer, and I certainly do, it's time to lift that side of the U.S. of A. up in prayer. Okay, we're going to revisit the same targets we had last night, and I had some problems last night. My streaming software is Ecamm, and I've never had a problem with that. But last night, about halfway through my imaging session, it just crashed. So I just decided to go live again. So last night, the whole imaging session's divided into 2 live video sessions. But you guys will figure it out if you're inclined to watch it. Before I go any further, if you will and can and do like this, please consider liking the YouTube channel or in this video. And also, if you want to be informed of future videos, if you subscribe and click on the bell, I think that's what it takes. Then when I put another video up, whether it's a live streaming video or a recording, you'll be notified. And I will try to schedule the live streaming at least the day before I do it. But clouds being what they are, and particularly in the south, that isn't always possible. So if you will, please click on subscribe and click the bell, and don't forget to like and click like, and thank you very much. That's the last advertisement you're going to see from me. Okay, let's go to screen share, and let me bring up, let's see, this is the Vixen system. Let's go over to the Stellarvue first, and I'm going to bring up the outside surveillance camera, and I'll show you what we're doing. We're logging on, and assuming we have it failed. Well, we may not be bringing up outside cameras. There we go. Give it a second. Thank you, moon. There's the moon, and here's the haze. I don't know what we're going to do tonight. I doubt we're going to have much success, but we're going to have some fun trying, so hang in there with me. This is the Stellarvue. It's a 330 millimeter refractor, and with a reducer. And we're going to set this one up first, and when we have this one set up, we're going to go over to the Vixen, and this is a 625 millimeter refractor. So Those are the two imaging scopes we're going to use tonight, and they're both on Atlas Pro mounts. Alright, let's go to the other laptop, and we're on the Stellarvue laptop, which is I call that Astro 1, and the Vixen is on Astro 2. The first thing we want to do is bring up our Pegasus power box, and we got to connect power to our mount, our focuser, and our camera. It always shows a 99% humidity when it first boots up, and we're still around 80 degrees outside. It's hot. So it's cooler than it was at 2 o'clock this afternoon though. The next thing I want to do is bring up the EQ mode driver for EQ ASCOM, and I'm going to connect my virtual hand controller, and let's go ahead and unpark the mount, and we can put that to sleep. Let's bring up PhD2. This is my guiding software, and let's connect the Starlight Express Lodestar and the EQ mode HEQ5 mount, and I'm going ahead and click looping to see if we've got a star, any stars in here. We got one, and that is Polaris. Alright, then let's bring up Sequence Generator Pro. Last night we imaged IC1396, which is the elephant trunk, and I was able to get about somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 hours of imaging in. So what I'm going to do is change the number to 60, and then we'll see if we can double it tonight. I'm doubtful. And so if we do that, we have another close to 5 hours of imaging. Let's turn on the camera, the filter wheel, and while we have the camera on, let's go ahead and start cooling the camera. Let's turn on the moonlight focuser. The mount will connect, and then the Pegasus weather sensor, which will import the temperature, dew point, and humidity. Let's see, we got anything else? I want image statistics here. Alright, I think we're good to go with this kit. Let's go over to Astro 2, and I'm looking at the top of the page here for that. And let's bring up our Pegasus power box. And let's connect to our gear. There's 78 degrees. I'll connect the camera. We can go ahead and cancel this. We're going to connect the focuser, the mount. We aren't taking flats right now. And let's now bring up our EQ ASCOM driver and start our virtual hand controller. We can unpark it and put that to sleep. Let's bring up PhD2, and let's try connecting this gear. We're good to go. I'll start looping. And we have a star field, and this is Polaris there. Let's go to Sequence Generator Pro. Which is our acquisition software. I also imaged IC1396 last night, and because the Vixen has a focal ratio of f7, I had to take 242nd images as opposed to I think 180 on the Stellarvue, which has a 4.9 focal ratio, so it's a bit faster. I think we'll try going to 50 tonight and just double the data. And if we do, we've got 5 hours of imaging time. Let's go ahead and connect our camera, and let's start. Oh, we didn't connect. Not a good sign. There we go. Let's turn it on, start cooling. Let's connect the filter wheel, the moonlight focuser. Both kits have moonlight focusers, and then our weather sensor from Pegasus. And we are ready to go. Okay, everything is looking good. I think we're going to go ahead and just save this sequence, and we're going to go back to our other telescope. Our camera is in the process of cooling, and let's save this sequence. And now let's slew to our target, and we're on our way. Let's bring up our outside camera and watch the Stellarvue slew to IC1396. Okay, good. We're ready to center it now and plate solve. So we're going to start the plate solve. We're taking a picture of the sky that will be compared to a database, and then the mount will be sent adjustments to move the mount to the correct RA and deck coordinates. We're off. We're 1700 pixels off in RA. We're 140 pixels off in declination. So we're a good distance from the center of our target. Okay, this was 22 pixels off in RA and 45 pixels off in dec. I want to run it again. I like to get inside 50 pixels, and we are 50 pixels, but I'd like to see if we can improve that some. I'm using Pinpoint by DC3 Dreams. Okay, here we go. We're 10 pixels, actually 8 pixels off, so that's pretty good. All right, let's keep our outside cameras going. Let's click on Run Sequence because we're ready to start imaging. And it's going to tell me that our current temperature is -3.5. Actually, it's -4. And we want to go to 20. Actually, I don't. That's going to really stress this camera to go 15 -20 degrees below ambient. It will do it, but there's no point. I don't think it's worth waiting that one out. So we're going to go -20. We're going to click yes, delay, start. But it should go ahead and start focusing. It's setting the hydrogen alpha filter, and while the camera is cooling, it's going to start focusing using the hydrogen alpha filter. So while this is all going on now, I want to head back over to the other kit, and let's slew this to IC1396, and let's bring up our outside camera and follow this Vixen slew. Okay, we're ready to center, and I think I'm pretty sure that I'm using plane wave plane wave to do plate solving instead of pinpoint. I go back and forth. What I like about this is that I get a box that comes up that tells me just how far I'm off. It's found a match, and oh mercy, look how far off we are. Great, is 2900 pixels in RA and 2500 in, wow, it's a bunch. Well, I want to get within 50 pixels. That way the data that I get tonight will match up with the data that I had last night, and when I start processing, I can layer these stars on top of each other in PixInsight by using the weighted batch processing. Okay, we're 42 pixels off in RA, 5 pixels off in DEC, a total of 42. I'm going to run it again, see if we can't improve that a little. But 42 pixels isn't very much. Okay, we're 15 pixels off. That's fine. Now let's go ahead and run the sequence. It's going to tell me that we haven't it's going to plate solve again now. It's setting the HA filter. It's going to start the autofocus. We can go back to the other, and while this is happening, we're having a little problem getting a good V curve so far. If we had to rate the quality, well, it's better, of this focus run, it would be around 95%. Just so long as it's 90% or better, I'll live with whatever focus decision it comes up with. We don't need the cameras anymore. Okay. We've dropped to 88%, and I think problem that it's having is the haze in the sky. I think it's making it pretty tough for the camera really to render a good star field with sharp stars that it can measure the half flux radius. Yeah, it's gonna start all over again. I've got this set up that if I don't get at least a rating of 90% or better, to just redo it. Let's go check the other one, see how it's doing. It's a much better curve. We're looking for a nice V curve because initially it takes a picture with the scope defocused by several hundred steps, and then it starts incrementally focusing and taking pictures until it reaches a point where it gets a pretty sharp half flux radius, and then it starts defocusing in the other direction X amount of steps at a time, and you'll get this V curve. And the algorithm uses the point of those two lines at the intersection to establish the best focus point, and sets the steps over here. And that's how this little thing works. Yeah, this is having a hard time too. Seeing this star field and getting good measurements. Let's go back to the other one, see if it's doing any better. One thing that I could try doing is increasing the exposure time. I think I have it at 18 seconds. I could try increasing that to see if shooting through the haze with a longer exposure might help. The camera has cooled to minus 20 degrees below ambient. I thought I changed that to minus 15. This seems to be working now. While that is focusing, I'm going to go to my seeing conditions down here are, I think it's probably average. It says good, and then we go to average. Transparencies below average, and the clouds are 10%. We get clear, and then evidently something's coming in, and yeah, we have some stuff coming in now, and so I'll have to pay attention to that. That looks like bad weather. Okay. All right, let's go back to our... Okay, this one has finished, and it's plate solving again. I'm going to check my guiding, or actually start it. Let's get our star field, and let's start guiding, which is not smart because we're still plate solving, which means we may move the scope. Nope, we're done. Okay, it's Sequence Generator Pro is now talking to the guider. and as soon as the guider has settled down, and then it's going to set the filter to HA, and we started our first image. This is a 240-second image, and we'll take a look at it and see what we've got going on. I'm going to take the sequencer, this window, and I'm going to turn it off for right now so we can see the sky. And I can already tell you the sky just looks polluted. Keep in mind, this is just a 20-second exposure. And it'll be hard to get good data out of this, but the fun's in the trying, so we'll continue to try it. Let's go to the other scope. Gracious, it's going to focus all over again, so evidently it did not get what it was looking for. I might add that when I start an imaging session, I don't stay up all night and watch this stuff. I'll stay up until I think things are moving along, but I'll set these kits up to refocus at each filter change, plus I have them refocus every time there's a 2-degree temperature drop. And as you can see, this one has been focusing for maybe 5 minutes or more. And what happens is that if you end up focusing, say, 10 times over the course of a night, and you're using 3 or 4 minutes to focus, you're adding close to an hour to your imaging time. So even though I may have 5 hours of imaging time, when you start adding in and factoring in the time for dithering and the time for focusing, you need to really add another hour, maybe an hour and a half to your imaging time, so that if, for example, you know you're going to start at 10 o'clock and you want to have finished your imaging by 5 o'clock because the sun starts affecting the sky after 5 o'clock at this time of the year, and so you've got about 7 hours, and that's provided your target is in a good place at 10 o'clock. And for that reason, what I try to do is a little research before I start imaging, and I'll bring up during the day my a planetarium program. It can be any planetarium program. Stellarvue works great. Starry Night works great. This is probably my favorite for my iMac, and then I use Cortez de Sale for my Windows laptops outside. But when I'm inside, and by the way, this is our target right here. Let's make sure we're using the current time. Yep. So our target is right here, and I can advance it, and I know it's going to transit about 3 o'clock. So right there, somewhere around 3 o'clock, 2:59, it's going to transit, and then it's going to fall. Okay, it's 5:30 right now, and it's at a great height. So let's say, let's back up to 5. Okay. That would be perfect. So this is a great target for me at this time of year, because I can start it at 10 o'clock. It's still a little low. That's about 30 degrees. Let's go back to 10 o'clock. I can't really start imaging earlier than 10 because it's not dark enough. Okay, that's 30 degrees. So 9:20, it's still too light. Let's go to, okay, that's around 10 o'clock. So that's a perfect place. So this target, the Pelican, the Eastern Veil Nebula, the Crescent Nebula, the Cave Nebula. This is 7822. Let's see what that is. It's a bright nebula in Cephas. Oh yeah. Let's see how big it is. It's 60 by 30. Okay, that's a great target for my refractors. So we'll have to pay attention to this one. 7822. But anyway, I just kind of hunt these targets during the day when I have some time and jot them down in my notes and plate solve through framing and mosaic and use them as targets. Let's go back and see if we finished focusing. By the way, what a horrible image. The sky is ridiculous. It's just a waste of time. This is the elephant right here. This is the elephant trunk right here. You can't see it. The sky is so polluted with the haze. Man, wow. It's that much worse than last night. That's hard to believe. I'm going to bring up an image from last night. Open image. And let's go down here to my SSD drive and our light frames. And we want one from the 22nd. So let's just take this one. Alright, this is from last night, and you can see that we're still dealing with some haze and some pollution, but you can see the outline of the elephant. Let's stretch this a little more. Let's do a medium stretch, and you can kind of see the nebulosity, but this is HA, and HA is loaded in this elephant trunk. And there's just not that much data, and it's due to partly the moon lighting up that haze. But wow, honestly, other than just an exercise in setting stuff up, it's just kind of cruddy. We can go over and look at our guiding, which is slightly under RMS of 1. Which is okay for wide field. And we can head back to, all right, let's go over to the other scope and see if it ever managed to it's waiting on the camera temperature to start sequence, but we have already managed to get a focus, so it's ready to go. It isn't going to I'm gonna have to force this. Actually, it's a waste of time to even start imaging. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm just going to force it. We're going to take a 180-second image and see what it looks like. I can already tell you what it's going to look like. Oh, guiding doesn't look good. What's going on here? We're at a 126. Let's clear that and clear this. And it probably isn't going to be good with this haze. I don't know how I can get a bead on these stars, but at any rate, guiding is even worse now. It's having a hard time here. I might go up to 5 seconds. Let's go up to 4 seconds and see if we can get a better bead on the star. It may have made things worse. It's looking at the centroid of the star, the pinpoint center, not the haze around it. That's going to improve it a little bit, I think. We'll see. Probably need to go over on the other one and do the same thing, but my plan is not to image. I think I'm wasting my time. It's a good exercise, but let's see what this image looks like. We're at 46 seconds and counting, and then it's crazy. I sure hope I know we don't have much to complain about. Our homes are intact and they're not being threatened by fire, but I'll sure be glad when the haze is over with and those folks can get back to their homes. And okay, let's look at this image. And here's where it's just so polluted. This is the elephant trunk and you can hardly see it. Let's go from last night and open up an image we took last night. And it's down here. Elephant trunk from last night. And from 721. It is HA, isn't it? Yeah. Just pick up one. See the difference in the sky from last night to tonight? And at least you can see some of the nebulosity. And the elephant trunk. But okay, well, folks, I hate it because I was hoping I would be able to double the imaging time, and if I had 8 or 9 hours of this part of the sky, that would be a gracious plenty to start processing, and it would have produced, I think, 2 good pictures, one from a very wide field Stellarvue and the other from a more narrow view with the 625 millimeter Vixen. But that isn't to be, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'm going to disconnect the gear, go outside, cover up the telescopes, and I think from at least until the haze goes away, even if we have clear skies, it's going to be a waste of time. And that I hate. So have a great rest of the evening, and I hope you have clear skies and haze-free skies in your neck of the woods.